Hi guys, this is Vaul, and the VRI is going very, very well. Really enjoyed that last semi-final match, especially Game 5 between Ragbecker and Lesty. Hope you guys like that as well. And now it's time to wrap up the semi-final and talk about the results, the standings, and who's going to be in the final. So let's go through it. On one hand, we had Kimura versus Daki, and SO Kimura has won that game, has won that match rather. And let's go through it. It was a best of 5, and it did go to 5 games. The first game between Kimura and Daki was Kimura with Necrons versus Daki's Chaos and Outer Reaches. I thought Kimura played that very well, but he floated a lot and he squandered a couple of opportunities. It might have been closer otherwise, but still, we know that Necrons are a bit underpowered, especially versus, against all races really. Maybe not so much Tau. They have an opportunity versus Tau with Wraiths, but against Chaos, generally the Chaos tend to outmuscle them. So Daki took out Game 1 on Outer Reaches for their series, Kimura versus Daki this is. Then the second game, it was a bit more of a balanced matchup. We had Tau mirror match. Now, nobody can sort of talk about the balance of that because both the same race, and Kimura won it. So keep that in mind. They were 1-1 at that point. The next match, however, was Chaos Space Marines versus Eldar, with Eldar being the favourite, because Eldar are a very powerful race, too powerful in my opinion, versus most races with the exception of Tau, and that map was Blood River for Game 3, and of course Daki had Eldar and Daki won it. Kimura really threw it away. He could have made it a bit closer. He made some mistakes earlier on, but I think he probably would have lost regardless because of that matchup. So we had 2-1 at that point. And then it was Chaos Space Marines versus Sister of Battle. Now, that was Shrine of Excellion, and I particularly think that in that particular matchup, it's definitely a winnable matchup from both sides. Maybe it favors Chaos a little bit. Who knows? Daki did not manage to win with Sister's Battle. Kimura won with Chaos Space Marines, and we had an even 2-2 going to the 5th game. And 5th game was Imperial Guard versus Necrons. Necrons maybe a bit of a disadvantage against Imperial Guard. Daki put in a really good showing. I think he probably had a couple of opportunities he could have made it even closer, maybe having won, but he did end up losing. Now, this is a random race tournament, and a lot of people could point to the fact that it really just comes down to who gets the best matchups. And I think that in no circumstances so far have we seen if we've seen the worst player win through luck. And I want to make a demonstration of that with the matchups we've seen so far. In the Kimura versus Daki series, we had 5 games. And I think they got 2 imbalanced matchups each, and we had one balanced matchup, which was Tau versus Tau, and Kimura won that. And the Chaos Space Marine game versus Sisters of Battle, that was a fairly close-ish matchup, and Kimura won that one as well. So Kimura got one lucky pick in the form of Imperial Guard versus Necrons. Daki got one lucky pick in terms of Chaos versus Necrons, and another lucky pick in terms of Eldar versus Chaos Space Marines, and he still lost. So I really feel like Kimura played better overall in that general series and really deserves to be in the final because of that. If you guys disagree with me, feel free to post your comments, but that's my reasoning as to why that series really came down to players' knowledge of matchups and overall skill, and I really feel like Kimura deserved to win that, so hats off to him. Now, a similar thing has been happening over the other side of the semi-final, so let's talk about it. Ragpicker versus Anesti. First game, Tau versus Sisters of Battle, SOB as some people like to call it for short, on Outer Reaches. Now, the Tau won that, was a very close game, and SD played that very hard, and I feel like his skill level is actually quite close to Ragpicker's, but that's a lucky draw for Ragpicker. I'm going to call it in favor of Tau. On that map, I do really think that Tau has an advantage. Second game, Dark Eldar versus Eldar. Kind of evenish, but Eldar has a little bit of an advantage, really. So, and SD did take that out, as predicted, so it was 1-1 by then. So you can pretty much count out the first 2 games as being matchup wins. However, the third game, Sisters of Battle versus Orcs on Battle Marshes, I'm not too sure. Maybe it favors Orcs. Let's say it favors Orcs, and SD won it. Second, the fourth game, Dark Eldar versus Space Marines, probably favors Dark Eldar. Ragbecker got it. So if you take it by my reasoning there, both players kind of had it even. But game 5, wow, Necrons versus Space Marines, that's a lucky draw for Space Marines. I'm sure had the races been reversed, Ragbecker would have still won that. But he won it even with Necrons. He broke the Necron curse and managed to win it 3-2. And for that, I think Ragbecker definitely deserves to get through the finals. I hope you guys don't disagree with that, because I feel it's quite fair to say. that had all of the races been swapped around in those 5 games, that Le Ragpicker would have won anyway. And there's my analysis of the semi-finals. Both players who won deserve to get through. And now we're looking at a finals between Kimura and Le Ragpicker, which is going to be very, very exciting. We're also probably going to see a third-place playoff, assuming the guys get around to playing it. If it gets scrapped, it gets scrapped. But I'm hoping to see a match between Darky and Anesti. That's going to be a best-of-5 series. It's going to be on Blood River. And after that, the tournament will be finished. And just a quick shout-out to my buddy Bogger over at the ESL organization. And there's a random race ladder going on. You guys should check that out in the Relic News forums or the Dow Sanctuary forums if you want to get involved, find out a bit more from those sites. But in the meantime, this is Vaul, very much enjoying the VRI, and I'll have the finals for you shortly. Eso Kimura versus Le Ragpicker.